The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and we're here to talk about taxes and your money and how the taxes affect your money. And we have 1 hour to answer any question that you might have, tax or financial related. And our phone number here in studio is 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. And, of course, I have my sidekick, Chris, with me.
Hello, Esther.
Christopher Fabian. And our special guest today is Jeff Boron. He's a certified college planning specialist.
That's a mouthful.
I know. CCPS. And so, Jeff, hey, thanks for joining us on a Saturday.
Great. It's going to be fun to talk about college because we're getting into the season.
And that's why we thought, in this time of year, and actually there is a lot of stuff happening with taxes, and we're going to kind of go over that quickly so that, we keep you abreast of anything. But if you have a kid going to college, or you have a kid in junior high and you're wondering about how the change in the free tuition is going to affect you, should you set aside money for college? How can you afford college? Maybe your kid wants to go to a private college. This is an opportunity. We have a certified college planning specialist, Jeff Boron, from the Financial Guys, and he is absolutely great. And he talks in plain speak. It's so great because people can understand you, Jeff. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, try not to confuse and overwhelm people.
And the other thing is you have this real practical gift of saying, well, if you need to do this is what you need to do, right?
That's right. That's right. It doesn't have to be a daunting task. If you plan and do things in advance, it becomes easy. But what happens is we see parents and families wait till the last minute. Their son or daughter is going to school in 6 months, and then that's when they start to get panicked.
Right.
Because nothing is done, and they don't know what to do.
Right.
I work with a lot of those. It's so much more enjoyable to work with somebody that comes to me when they're freshman, sophomore in high school, and we have time
and you can
to
do
really,
something.
We can really plan ahead.
Right.
That's like someone coming to you, on April 10th and saying, I don't want to pay as much in tax. What should I do?
And we say, get out the checkbook, buddy, because there's nothing much we can do except for an IRA.
And especially nowadays, because FAFSA and the new free college program, however you want to call it, goes 2 years back.
That's
so
right.
if you're waiting to the senior year to plan, you're
Right,
already
if
behind.
you're doing
the
any kind of income-based planning, it may be too late if you wait. You've got to really plan ahead because it's actually, you're exactly right, it's 2 years back.
Right, you're basing it your FAFSA from 2 years ago. So
Right.
those are in stone, and all you can do now is get ready so that you can plan so you can get the biggest bang for your buck 2 years in advance when your kids are, because that's what they're going to use. They're going to use 217 for 219.
Right. It's the tax year that their student is a junior.
Good. That's
really
great. But, before, and again, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on your cell phone. I know we got calls coming in. You're free to talk about anything tax and money related, or if you want to tap Jeff's brain here, we are talking about college planning. If you're a parent, a grandparent wondering about school, this is your opportunity to get some great free advice. But before we get there, we wanted to talk about some of the tax provisions in the Senate health care bill. We're just going to go over it very quickly. The Senate's bill would eliminate the advance payments for the premium tax credit. It would limit the eligibility for the premium tax credit from 400% poverty level to 350%. So that's not that big of a swing, right? It would repeal the small business health insurance tax credit because there's no, and it's also going to repeal the mandate that penalty that everybody's so afraid of.
And that goes back to January of 2016.
So whether they're going to issue refunds for people that were penalized, So again, the mandate would be gone. The employer mandate would be gone, and the HSA, the health savings accounts, would now allow you and your flexible spending accounts to buy over-the-counter medicine with that, as opposed to it had to all be prescripted. So those are just kind of the highlights. And then the other thing is that kind of is coming down the pike is the Family Leave Act, and that's something that is going to affect all
employees.
All employees.
All
employees.
Yep, not employers. Employees. It's going to be like that 60-cent tax, if you want to call it a tax, that you already get hit with for disability. It's now can be up to $1.65 to
over and above
the 60 cents to get 8 weeks off at 50% of your salary.
Right.
So you're going to be
if you are caring for a newborn, a family member, parent, brother or or child,
yep.
Correct?
Yep. Or if you just adopted a baby, you just had a baby, the father wants to take off.
Right.
So New York's coming up with this Family Leave
so
Act.
Over and above the New York State Disability is also going to be the Family Leave Act payment.
So,
Yes.
Chris,
Right?
everybody will pay this.
All
extra money.
employees.
All employees
You
will
have
pay this.
you have to have 26. You have to they have to work 26 consecutive weeks. So for us who are seasonal at EG Tax, our employees who only work January through April don't qualify for this. It's where I would, because I'm here all year. Tim, Tiffany,
You have to work at least 26 weeks to qualify
and
for
part-time people qualify.
Wow.
Right. So that's and so that will be extra money coming out of your paycheck. But in January, your wages are going to go up, if it's minimum wage, by 70 cents. So we wanted to talk about that because we always want to get everybody that's listening to Ask the Tax Lady so that they know what's coming up. And if you have any questions during the week, give us a call.
Right. I was going to say, and with this Family Leave Act, they make you take your sick time. Or
And
your
your vacation
time
first
before you can apply, before you qualify for this.
Right.
So there are little intricacies in there. Everything's not finalized yet, but if you guys have questions, give us a call during the week.
Right. And I'm going to go quickly to the phones. We're going to talk to Pat in Buffalo. Hey, Pat, how can we help you?
Well, I'm calling for some clarification.
Sure.
I thought that you could give a child $10,000 tax-free, but then someone told me it's been up to 14. Is that correct?
It is. It's 14. You can give anybody, not a child, you can give anybody $14,000 per person per year and not have to file a gift tax return. Anybody.
Okay.
So you can give 30 people $14,000 and you don't have to file a gift tax return. However, if you give more than $14,000, then you have to do a gift tax return. Doesn't mean you're going to owe any gift taxes, but to report it to the Internal Revenue Service so that they can keep track of the gifting over the 14, because it could affect your unified exclusion.
Okay. Now, I was also told that I have to have a letter. Who provides this letter that it's a gift?
Well, no, you in your own, for your records, it just is a nice thing to say, dear Stella, here is a check for $14,000 from me because I really love you, and here's, and then when you get your copy of your check back, attach it to that letter and put it in your safe deposit box, because it's nice to have a track record. But it isn't necessary.
Yeah, the only time I ever seen someone ask for a letter is when the recipient is buying a house.
Yeah, so this way, it's just nice to do, because it's always good to have a good track record in the event that anybody ever asks, can you prove who you gave it to, how much you did, and you would have that verification at that time, contemporaneously given, but you don't need it.
Okay, so this is for a house. You mentioned the only time you need it. So
well, usually because they're giving more than 14 is why Chris is
they want to make sure
the
recipient isn't going into more debt than they're already in.
The bank wants to know. The mortgage company wants to know.
So then if I handwrite a letter,
that's fine.
Yeah.
To the bank or Quicken or wherever he's going to get his mortgage.
Yeah.
That suffice. Okay, great.
Okay, Pat?
This is my question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, dear.
Right.
Bye-bye. I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're talking about your taxes. We're also talking about sending your kids to college and what a daunting task that can be. We have Jeff Boron, certified college planning specialist, in studio with us. We're taking a short break, and we'll be back on the other side with your questions.
Good choice, Frank.
We're going to have a love fest. I'm Esther Gulias, the tax lady from EG Tax. We have our special guest in studio, Jeff Boron. We're talking about colleges, and right up that line, we got Lori here's got a question about student loan interest. Hey, Lori, how can we help you?
Hi, Esther. Thank you so much, and I absolutely love your program. It was
Thank you.
a program that actually made me go and get my taxes done with you for the past 4 years, and I couldn't have been happier.
Thank you.
The question I have is, my son graduated from RIT in 2016 after almost 16 years as an engineer. He's doing very, very well, working for Yamaha down in Georgia. But my question to you is, I keep pushing on him because I just keep hearing ads about it for trysofi.com. And I'm wondering, am I leading him in the wrong direction?
Well, when I'm looking at student loan and possibly consolidation or restructuring student loans, SoFi is one. I like another company out there. It's called Credible, Credible, and a little newer company than SoFi. SoFi for your son might be good because they're really looking for someone with, a great job, a great profession, a great degree.
Doing extremely well.
Right. So I would look at basically both of those, and they're both essentially loan brokers. You're gonna get on, let's say, Credible's site, and they're going to shop different loan providers and give you alternatives for consolidating or restructuring payment or possibly reducing debt. The one thing I will tell you is make sure if you're looking for a fixed rate loan that you go through all the language to make sure that's what you're getting. I've heard of some people out there, and I'm not sure what service they were using, but they thought they were getting a fixed rate loan, and then 6 months later, their loan payment goes up, and it turns out it was a variable rate, and it's not what they thought they were getting. So be careful, go through all the language, but try Credible, try SoFi, see who gives you the best deal.
Okay, Lori?
Okay, can I ask you one more thing, please?
Sure.
I have twins that are going to be sophomores. Their dad is an assistant professor at a local college, which they could most likely get free tuition for. One may be interested in some of the programs, one may not be. So I was pushing him toward, and I don't know the lingo, I'm so terrible at this, like the college savings type program.
The 529 plans, yes.
Yeah, and he says no. I mean, he is a business person as well, because the taxes and the something. I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the other one? Because they have no interest in going to that college whatsoever.
Okay, but the 529 plan is just a New York State college savings plan that gets you basically lets you have the equity, so to speak, to pay for college. So somebody has to be funding the 529. Do you have 529s funded already?
I personally do not, but because I'm not going to get into a long story, I'm disabled. He currently has custody of the children. Yes, I do see them all the time, but it would be up to him because his income level is way beyond mine.
So do your kids have 529 plans established already?
Not at the moment. No, they do not, because he keeps telling me it's not worth it.
Okay, so you're talking about your ex-husband as opposed to your son, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, if for your information, he would just get a tax deduction equal to the amount that he puts in, up to $10,000, times his tax bracket. So if he's in the 8% bracket and he puts in $10,000, he would save $800, and all of the income would grow tax-free if it's used for education. So that would be a decision he would make. But here's the great thing from here. We have Jeff here who can help you or help him to make sure that the kids are getting the best bang for the buck by using somebody like Jeff for college planning.
Right. So when it comes down to filing, because you guys are divorced, if they're going to a school which only requires the FAFSA, so there's two forms of financial aid. One requires FAFSA, the other requires FAFSA and something called the CSS profile or the institutional method.
Correct.
If we stay away from those schools, which are going to be like the University of Rochester, RPI, Hamilton College, Syracuse University, some of those schools, and we go to a school that only requires the FAFSA, they will only use one income. And the rule of thumb is it doesn't matter who claims that student as a tax exemption, who has custody by the divorce decree. It's where the student spends more than 50% of their time. And so with the big income disparity, if that student is spending more than 50% of the time with you, we would use your income, and they would probably qualify for quite a bit of needs-based aid, plus possibly appealing because you're disabled.
Absolutely nothing. I have disability, and that's about it.
But you see what's so great, Lori, and especially for people listening, if it's very close, I would say,
right.
wouldn't it? If Dad makes $300,000 and Mom's on Social Security disability making $15,000,
we want to use Mom.
We would start now when they're a junior saying, why don't you spend more time with Mom, right?
Exactly. And that's going to save you tens of thousands of dollars.
And it benefits your kid.
See, and that's what I'm trying to work out with them. Okay, I have one more quick question about SoFi. Do they, charge you for their services?
Any loan out there is going to have some form of an origination type fee. Just like when you do, a home equity or any type of loan, that service provider is getting paid one way or another. Nothing's free. Okay. But it's going to be built right into the loan. So you're going to look at things like the net payment and see what happens. Look at the interest rate, look at the effective annual APR, and make decisions based on the numbers.
Sure, it's going to stay a fixed rate.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, my gosh. You have been so helpful once again. And again, I love your show, and thank you so much.
All right, Laurie. Thanks for calling.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Jeff, where can Lori, if she has more questions for you during the week, get a hold of you?
Right. I work with the financial guys. The guys that are on the show right before this, and they can call the office at 633-1515, and they can schedule time with me. And first consultation, there is no charge because I'm not sure if I can help them.
Oh, that's great. And I will tell you, if you're sitting there with kids that are looking at college, or maybe they're not, maybe they're looking at a trade school, you still got to pay for trade school.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's so important, and this is what some of the things we try to stress during this time of year, because it's important, like you were saying at the beginning of the show, about pre-planning for your taxes, pre-planning for life. And it's so wonderful that there's somebody that you can turn to that can help you to, like, just like with Lori, she's got kids that are, maybe Dad's got custody of them, but maybe it's in their best interest for Mom to have them spend more time with Mom because of the difference in financial aid that they'd get.
A significant difference.
So, Jeff, how much does college cost right now? I mean, how, let's say you got your kid that says, I want to go to Bonaventure.
Right. So, there's really a couple levels of schools. So there's in-state state schools, and the average nationwide, by the time you're all done, and it's called total cost of attendance. So it's not just tuition. Don't just look at tuition or whatever. Total cost of attendance is published on every school's website. It's tuition, fees, books, supplies, some element of transportation, basically the entire estimate of what it would cost to go to school. For a state school, it's going to run somewhere right around $20,000. For an out-of-state state school, that $20,000 for the same school is probably going to be $34,000 to $35,000. For a private school, you're going to be looking anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000. And then you go to an elite private, which will be, some of the Ivy League schools, and those are somewhat over $60,000 a year right now.
Wow.
So, even a state school, By the time you have fees, which average $3,000, they don't raise tuition; they just tack on another fee.
Okay, so when we're looking at this, what's the name of the program? New York
Excelsior
State?
Scholarship.
I knew it was something erudite. So they're talking about after TAP and Pell that they're only on the hook about $3,800. Right?
Yeah, well, it's a last dollar program. So if you look at it right now, parents or families qualify for TAP if they have an income up to $80,000. Some of those lower income people will get Pell. So by the time you have TAP and Pell for some of those people, it's really going to help a very narrow band of people who this year income is somewhere between $80,000 and $100,000.
Okay. And how much then over and up, let's say that they qualify for 100% of the state aid, all right? What is it that mom and dad would still have to come out of their pocket then?
So mom and dad would have to come up with money for fees, which let's ballpark $3,000, books and supplies, and that's anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 depending on the program, and room and board, which is probably about $12,000. So it's not send your kid to college for free. It's, quote, free tuition, and tuition is about a third of the total cost of the component.
So wait, let's here's my mind going. So if it's tuition is free, you pay for fees. Fees are based upon your tuition. So what you're saying is these SUNY schools could raise their tuition and charge more fees.
Exactly.
So the state's going to make up money that way.
Right, and it'll come from the taxpayers.
Yep.
So what's going to be the incentive for the schools to keep cost in control? Because the taxpayers will fund some of this. But the program has a limited budget. So one thing I wanted to tell everybody out there that, I hear I've gotten a lot of calls, people excited. Well, I don't have to worry about this. My son or daughter is going to go to school for free. First of all, it's not all the cost. But second of all, they don't have an exact estimate of the number because it's a brand new program. But the latest estimate is 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 will actually get the award, even if you're in that income bracket, because there's only so much money to go around. It will end up being what they call a lottery system.
Okay. I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady. We got special guest in studio, Jeff Boron, certified college planning specialist. Give us a call after the news with your questions about college or taxes. See you on the other side.
Just like the one-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, ooh.
Hey, I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're talking about your kids going to college or grandkids going to college. We have special guest in studio, Jeff Boron, certified college planning specialist with the Financial Guys. His phone number is 633-1515 during the week. But right now, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And I want to tell you something. College, higher education, whether your kid goes to a trade school or whether they go to college, it's competition out there and it's expensive. And we have a great guest in studio that can help you with sending your kids to college. So Jeff, let's talk about that Excelsior program. So not everybody gets it. You said it's going to be a lottery system. So what do you do? Here it is. When will you find out? August 31st? When?
I'm not sure because, the deadline to file is mid-July. But the other thing, so there's, as you read the fine print, there's more and more things that, you've got to be aware of. The one thing is, first of all, they're going to try to give preference to students that are already in college. So if your son or daughter is starting their sophomore or junior year in the fall, they are supposedly going to get preference to this Excelsior scholarship as opposed to incoming freshmen. The second thing is you have to get 30 credit hours in or the program is null and void for you. So that means you have to be a full-time student. You can't drop a class because you're struggling or didn't really like that professor.
And take 15 credit hours per semester.
Right. So you've got to be a full-time student. You can't drop and not make the credit hours. Otherwise, you're going to owe that money back. The other caveat is you have to remain in New York State after graduation, unless you're going to graduate school out of state. But let's say you're going into the workforce and you get a great job offer down in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But you had the Excelsior Scholarship. That money that was given to you for the Excelsior Scholarship will be converted from a gift to a loan, and you will pay that back over 10 years.
That's correct. Yep.
With interest or without? I heard
Without
both.
interest.
Without
interest. So
Right.
it will be an interest-free loan, so I guess you have nothing to lose that way.
Right, that's true.
But, there's, and I see some of the points that they were trying to do.
So that
but
kind of begs the question then. People need to plan. I mean, so when is it, if you're a parent making under 100,000 2 years ago, and you're feeling pretty good about this, pretty cocky, like we're going to get this, it ain't necessarily so.
it's not in the bag. It's not in the bag for everybody. But the other thing we always try to teach parents and families is don't do things backwards. What does a typical family out there do? They pick the college, then they pick the major, and then they figure out, okay, what career can little Johnny or Susie do with that major? Our program is doing it what we feel the right way. Let's look out there saying, what type of careers fit you? And we use a process called Indigo with Natalie Beeline. Phenomenal process. Natalie's the only one licensed in New York State to implement this, to really identify what motivates your son or daughter, what fits. It's not a skills inventory like they do in some of the high schools that says, Johnny's good in math, so he should be an engineer. It's not like that at all. It really talks about behaviors and motivations and things that will make someone enjoy going to work for the rest of their life.
And obviously that there would be a job.
Right.
Right? At the end of the rainbow.
So we look at those careers, then we look at what majors fit that career, and then finally, at the end, we find colleges that fit, and then I narrow it down to colleges that fit financially, given their financial picture. That's the correct way to do it. The incorrect way is, hey, high school's over for the summer. Let's jump in the car and start visiting campuses.
And I like this campus the most.
Yeah. And without any rhyme or reason
Yep.
of why you're doing it.
That is so good.
And so do the planning first. Hopefully parents will come to us when their student's a sophomore, maybe, going into their junior year or in their junior year. The longer you wait, the harder it is to do a good job.
All right. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. We have special guest in studio, Jeff Bourne. We're talking about college, the cost of college, how to get your kids into college, how to plan for college. Again, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. And I got Mark from Tonawanda. Hi, Mark.
Hi, good morning. I was just like, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Regarding, I am retired. I have a 401k that has the balance of $500,000. Out of that, I have $48,000 that I put in one of my working career as after-tax money.
Mm-hmm.
It's grown in that portion of the 401k at Fidelity to $141,000.
Mm-hmm.
When I withdraw that, do I have to put it into an investment vehicle so I can minimize my taxes? How does that work?
Okay, the after-tax dollars, the $48,000 is the only thing that's going to be tax-free.
Okay.
All right? The rest of it is going to be taxable. All right? So when you withdraw that, you can take out the whole $48,000 up front.
I know with an IRA with an 8606,
Right.
you can't. It percentages out, so
No,
I'm not
but
sure.
I
with
believe
the,
that in a 401k, that if you have pre-tax, if you have after-tax dollars in there, they let you draw that out first.
Can that be rolled to a Roth?
that can.
Yeah, that can.
You
be
would
rolled
have to
a
roll
Roth.
over
Yeah.
the whole thing.
The whole thing
and
to
then
a
the
Roth.
portion, the non-taxable, could go to a Roth.
Right.
So that would be one option
So
for
then
you
the
is-
rest of the money is going to be taxable to you.
But if I put, let's say I take out the $141,000, put it all into a Roth IRA.
Then $48,000 of it will be tax-free. The rest of it's going to be taxable. And when you do the rollover, you're going to have to pay the taxes on the difference between the 48 and the 141.
But if I don't, if it never hits my hands, could that portion be delayed where any amount that grows into the that grows on the IRA portion of my distribution in the Roth IRA, would that be not?
Okay, the minute you take it from a traditional to a Roth, okay, that $93,000 is going to be taxed, because then the whole thing becomes non-taxable in a Roth when you start to withdraw it. But that $93,000 that was never taxed, as soon as you roll it into a Roth, it's taxed up front.
Bummer.
They're going to get you.
You just thought you had a great idea, right, Mark?
Yeah.
Now, Esther, if he left that in there till he passes away, would there be a step up in basis because it's after tax money?
Nope. The $48,000 is holy money because it's already been taxed. But all the appreciation is going to be taxed, and to his heirs, his beneficiaries.
Okay, I was just trying to find a way to not to pay them.
Yeah, you don't get a stepped-up basis on an annuity or a pension plan, only on capital assets.
Okay.
Okay, Mark?
I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Son's already graduated, so I don't have that.
That's
But
right.
if you
I
got
just
grandkids-
like hearing people trying to beat the IRS.
Yeah, I know. But if you got grandkids, nieces, nephews, I mean, really, planning is the whole key. And I thank you for calling, Mark.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
now Jeff, let's talk about this Excelsior thing. And with these children, I'll say children, going to school for free, in quotes, okay, what incentive do they have then after they graduate to get a job? I mean, because with the way, I hate to say it, society is out there, the government doesn't want you to work. Or barely work.
So you mean,
So-
well, don't forget, it's not going to be free because they're going
They
to
have
they're going to have
other-
about 2/3 of the
Right,
cost
right.
that they're
Right,
going to pay for.
right.
But you know, it's as far as an incentive for them.
I mean,
to
I know
go to
making
work,
money.
making
but-
money would be a
but-
good one, or getting kicked out of mom and dad's house. Maybe that's the other one. But you know, it's difficult out there right now. I mean, what I try to, when I work with families, and you know, we have calls all the time, and I hate, it's after the fact. I have students come to me with $170,000 worth of student loan debt, and at that rate, obviously, a lot of them were private loans. And I saw one that I'm helping work with to refinance, 12%. I mean,
Isn't
could
that
you imagine a
unbelievable?
12% interest rate? But we're over, student loan debt now is one of the biggest debts in this
someone's
country,
gonna have-
personally.
yeah.
So, Jeff,
And it's
you
possibly a bubble.
obviously help people restructure debt then, too.
Right, and I work with them, and you know, I walk them through. Obviously, you know, we don't do loan. We're not a loan broker, but we provide them with some guidance and services to help guide them. But what I hate to see is with that much debt load, not only is it tough to, you know, have an apartment, have a car, pay your rent, pay your health care, pay all that, but then start saving for retirement. Because
Right.
we like to see people start saving early on, and time is their friend. But, you know, they're going to have loan debt till they're in their 40s.
And what they don't realize is, except for extraordinary circumstances, the student loan debt doesn't go away.
That's right.
I mean, it is just there.
There is a very high default rate right now on private loan debt because students don't have the money to repay what they committed to. It's somewhere between 14 and 17%, and that's why the interest rates are so high.
Let's
But-
talk about the different kind of loans that are out there. I mean, what does a parent do if they want to send their kid to college? I mean, would you suggest state schools first?
No, not necessarily, because of the fact that when I work with parents and show them in certain different situations, private schools can actually come out to be more affordable than state schools. I tell parents, first of all, don't worry about the sticker price. Let's work through the numbers, and we'll see how your situation works out. If you can qualify for some aid, and you don't have to be in poverty level, it's not something like welfare, but financial aid is available to about 2/3 of the families out there. And the biggest mistake I see is families say, well, I make too much to even think about that. Not true at all. Families with high income that will be paying a higher out-of-pocket cost for college typically will get some additional awards to incent them to go to that college. College is a money-making thing. It's a business. So they want those families then to write the check. So that's why you have to go through this process, and it will help you financially. But as far as loans go, Esther, there's a Stafford loan, which is a guaranteed loan in the student's name only. In the freshman year, they get $5,500. $6,500 in the sophomore, and then $75,000 junior and senior year. Total of $27,000. That's what a student can finance in their own name.
Now, is that a public loan or
Yes.
is that a private loan?
It's a federal loan.
It's a federal loan. And
The
so,
interest rate is approximately 4%, and repayment does not start until after they graduate. A portion of that loan may be subsidized, which means it doesn't accrue interest for all the years the student's in college. So they borrow $5,500. If it was subsidized, they come out, they owe $5,500. If it's unsubsidized, it's going to earn or accrue 4% interest along the way. But when I talk to parents that are unfamiliar with the process, they say, my son or daughter is just going to have to take out loans. And what they don't realize is that $27,000 for the 4 years is the max that child can take out only in their own name by signing and doing an application online. After that, the parents have to be involved.
Right.
So there's a Parent Plus loan, not a big advocate of. That's the sister of the Stafford, but that's in the parent's name only. The student's name does not even appear on that loan. And, parents signing up for a fairly high interest rate loan that start to be repaid the following year. So, spring of the fall, after the fall semester, repayment starts. I'm not crazy about that particular loan. Private loans, which are done through like a Citizens Bank or some of the other institutions out there, the student will pay for that loan after they graduate, but the parent will have to co-sign.
Okay.
That's the key. The parent, it's going to affect their credit report. It's going to go on as a debt of the parent, even though they're just a co-signer. And they're responsible if the student defaults.
I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're talking college planning. 8030930, 8030930, star 930. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back on the other side.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Cocked your head to the side and said I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me.
Hey, I'm Esther Gullius, the tax lady. We're talking about college and the high cost of college and the Excelsior program and student loans. And we have a special guest in studio, Jeff Boron from the Financial Guys. His phone number during the week, if you want to get a hold of him. And I'm going to tell you, if you got a kid in college, a grandkid going to college, if your kids are sophomores, juniors, that first meeting with Jeff is absolutely on the house. And I will tell you, he can really give you some no-nonsense pointers. His phone number is 633-1515. But we're in the studio, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. And Jeff, between our break here, we were talking about, this just, it may be easy money because it looks like easy money to get up front.
Right.
But it's like going to bed with a lion. I mean, it's just going to bite you in the butt.
One of the things, do a great job of really examining your possible careers when you get out of college, because there's nothing worse than coming out of college with a massive amount of student loan debt and having a degree which is not something that you're going to get a job in or is something that employers are looking for. Because now you have no job and you have this debt burden over your head. So what I always tell people is, our Indigo process where we help match the careers, majors, and colleges to the student, that is one of the biggest financial savers that we have, because right now only 31% of students from a state school are graduating on time in 4 years. They're publishing 6-year graduation rates. So when families are budgeting and they're thinking about, okay, 4 years for this son or daughter, 4 years for that son or daughter, they don't realize that they've only got a 31% chance of that happening. You go to a private school, a Canisius. Now, Canisius is a little bit better, but your average private school has about a 51% chance of graduating in 4 years. That's not a great statistic. Most of that is because students are changing their majors, changing colleges, and I'm sure everybody out there listening knows a story where their niece, maybe their own child, went to this school, didn't like it, changed their major twice or 3 times, and ended up in a 6-year program. That's where the money comes in.
Yep.
And also, doing the proper planning, I know I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she's taking AP classes and Niagara classes all during her high school years. And she goes, I'm planning to go in basically as a sophomore. But that's not true.
That's not true. No, that's not true. She will get some credit, and there are some programs out there as well, like CLEP, where students can take an exam, so they can self-teach themselves online and take an exam and get a college level prep class. But we also do one of the phases that we offer is SAT ACT prep, and this is a great service because students who don't score well, and their academic performance is okay, and they don't score well on the SAT or ACT, they're going to go into college and they're going to be forced to take some remedial type classes. Costs money and puts them behind.
Yep.
Right from the start. So invest up front and you will save thousands and thousands of dollars.
We were talking during the break that one of the best ways parents can pay their share is maybe doing a home equity loan.
Right. It's going to be the lowest rate.
It's because you look at the whole picture, and you were saying something that when you look at their mom and dad's portfolio from a pension standpoint, where they're going to retire, if mom and dad's retirement picture's not so good, wow, maybe then doing these other kind of loans like the Stafford loans, the Parent Plus loans, aren't so hot, right?
Right. So what I do with parents when they come in, and I generally work mostly with the parents, is we take a look at a comprehensive plan, a whole picture of things. Let's say a parent is 50 years old and they want to retire at 65. Well, how does the retirement look for them? What's the projection for retirement? Does it look feasible? If they're way behind the 8 ball, we have to focus on that as well as, what money is there for college. We shouldn't be taking each crisis as it comes along. Okay, I've got kids, I got to send them to college, it's my first crisis. Because when you get to retirement age and you don't have enough money, there aren't too many banks that are going to give you a retirement loan.
Not really. You're a bad deal. The best retirement loan I know of is reverse mortgage.
Right.
I mean,
and
because
most
if
people don't want to do it.
Right. But here's the thing. I mean, if you got a house that's worth $300,000 and they'll give you $240,000 up front and you can live there for free, at least you can live there.
Yeah, at least you have a roof over your head.
Right. At least.
But that's the whole thing. The main thing is planning and taking a look at the whole picture. Ask yourself if you're a parent or a grandparent and looking at helping your son or daughter. From the time my last student graduates from college to the time I retire, how many years is that?
Yep.
And it's usually a relatively short period of time. So in a very short period of time, we're sending kids to college and shoring up our retirement. And without a lot of pension plans out there, retirement's up to us. So we've got to really do a lot of planning work rather than just taking things as they come.
All right, this is Jeff Boren, our certified college planning specialist from the Financial Guys. If you have kids looking for college, if you have kids in college, if you have student loan debt and you don't know where to turn, Jeff is an absolute great guy to put into your toolbox, I will tell you. His phone number is 633-1515. You were also talking, Jeff, before about that private colleges may offer more incentives than you would ever get than at a public school.
That's right. Remember, private colleges are competing with the state schools. So
especially now.
Exactly.
So
with the endowments that these schools are having,
so how do you find out if your kid could get one of these scholarships?
As far as from a private school,
yeah.
Well, you go through the application process, and the students that get the most money are those that are well prepared. So they've done very well academically. They've prepared and done well on the SAT prep, so that their scores are higher. And we had a student that went through our service at All Pro Tutoring, and he raised his SAT score from a little under 1,100, not a bad score, to 1,410.
Wow.
And 1,250 is kind of your magic point where we start to see dollars roll in.
Mm-hmm.
So that student went from a point of not getting any dollars to getting a substantial merit award because of the SAT. And it cost the parents $395 to put them through private tutoring. That's what our service cost.
Wow, that is absolutely great. Well, I will tell you, we see in what we do at EG Tax, we see kind of the after the kid has graduated and maybe they still have gigantic debt, and most of them will say to me, if I would have known what it would be like making all these payments after I graduated from school, I would have never spent the money on getting the debt. I would have paid much more up front, because you have a tendency when it's free money to just think, oh, well, I'll just borrow the money now and pay it later.
We usually have the students participate when I'm working with the parents. They'll come in at the end when we're looking at school, so that the student and the parents don't get in a conflict. And I put up on the screen, here's what the loans are going to total. Here's what your monthly payment is going to be when you get out. And then we put a budget together.
Well, we got a call here. I want to take this before the end of the show. Hey, Dave, how can we help you, sir?
Yeah, hi. I just had a couple observations about sending kids to college. I have, out of 8 kids, 4 are in or out of college at this point.
Okay.
The one big thing is, and it may sound harsh, but the parents don't owe the kids an education after high school. And I think it's important that kids take part in what they're putting their money towards.
Okay. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. There's nothing on a birth certificate that says obligated to pay for college.
And I think that's what you were just saying, by showing the student when they're junior, this is what your payment's going to be when you're done with college.
Right. And this is probably going to be your income per month. Here's your rent, here's your car payment, etc. What's it look like? And it's usually not a good picture.
And your kids, Dave, you said you have 8 children?
Yeah, and so the oldest went to community college for a while. Not for a while. She graduated, transferred to a local school here, Bus State, then received her master's. Her debt's probably around $4,000, but she kept it local and she stayed at home.
Right.
Sacrificing the kids' part. Another one received is a physician assistant now, but again, she stayed at home for a while. Some of the local colleges here are terrific. She'll stay at home after her degree for 2 years and fully pay off her debt.
Good for you. What you're really talking about is the practical end of college, and that's what I did with my kids. I made them stay. It almost was I made them stay home because I didn't want them to have student loan debt, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that sometimes parenting is the hardest job we can do, but it's the best thing we can do in steering our kids. So I appreciate your phone call, and thank you, and congratulations on 8 kids. But we're running out of time, so I want to thank you so much.
It was great
Jeff,
being here, Esther.
And again, Jeff's phone number 633-1515. If you need us during the week, egtax.com. Visit us on our website. Have a great summer day. Bye-bye.